All right, everybody, welcome back. Let's dive into something I know a lot of you have been super curious about. Tiny houses.
Yeah,
Specifically, those awesome little homes on wheels.
absolutely.
We're going to be digging into Oh Tiny House. They have a fantastic guide to trailers.
Right.
And we wanted to dedicate a whole deep dive to this because you can have the most tricked out, like totally Pinterest-worthy tiny house, right?
Yeah.
But if it's in the wrong trailer, you're kind of sunk.
You're building a house on sand. And that's a mistake that I see time and time again. People get so caught up in the design and the beauty of it and just the dream of it all that they forget this essential component. It's literally the foundation of your house.
Yeah, and I think we tend to gloss over that, like I'm guilty of that too, where it's like, oh yeah, the trailer, or like whatever, we'll slap it on something. But understanding this stuff early on, even if you're just in that dreaming phase, can save you so many headaches down the road.
For sure.
So let's start with something that seems really basic, but I gotta admit, when I really read into this, I was like, oh, axles.
Okay.
Single, double, triple, right? It's not just about like how many wheels you got.
Right. And how much weight are you putting on those axles?
Yeah.
Right. And are you distributing that weight correctly? Because that's going to be huge too for towing and even just like street legality.
Yeah.
Single axle's great for a really small, like lightweight build.
Yeah.
And it's going to be the easiest to maneuver if you get into any tight spots.
Yeah.
But as your tiny home dreams get bigger, you're going to need more axles to support that.
Yeah, that makes sense. And this is where this term GVWR comes in, which I'll admit I always kind of skimmed over,
Right.
Like, oh, yeah, whatever that is.
Right. It sounds very technical.
But our source defines it as gross vehicle weight rating.
It's the weight limit, basically, for your trailer. Like everything all in, that's what that trailer is rated for.
So it's not just like a suggestion, it's the law.
Yeah. You start going over that,
Right.
and you're not just risking, damaging your trailer. You could be risking some serious fines. Like, imagine getting pulled over, super excited about your tiny house, you want to show it off, and bam, you get a ticket.
What a buzzkill. Right. Like, talk about taking the wind out of your sails.
Yeah, exactly.
It's a good reminder that this isn't just about, like, aesthetics, right? It's about, like, real-world stuff. Safety, legality, all that.
Absolutely.
And speaking of which, let's talk about some of those maybe less glamorous parts of the tiny house design, like the fenders, wheel wells, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
They have a surprising impact on design, I was reading.
Huge.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And it gets really interesting. A lot of places, the widest legal trailer you can tow on the road is 8'6".
Okay.
And guess what? The fenders often dictate that.
Really?
So you're designing your entire living space within that box, and then on top of that, you've got these wheel wells sticking in.
So it's like you're on one of those cooking shows where
Right,
they give
yeah.
you like 4 ingredients and they're like, make it work.
Exactly. You've got limited space. You've got these kind of intrusions with the wheel wells. You have to get creative. But that's what's led to some really cool, innovative designs in the tiny house world.
That's so cool.
Yeah, I've even seen some builders hide those wheel wells completely, or they do a deck over where the deck kind of extends past the trailer frame.
Word.
Yeah. You gotta maximize every inch.
Okay, so before we move on from those kind of design challenges, I did want to touch on, the article mentioned something about like square versus round wheel wells.
Oh, yeah.
And why that matters.
Yeah. You would be surprised at how much easier it is to frame a wall against a square well.
Oh, I totally believe it.
It seems like a tiny little detail, but for someone building their own tiny house, those little things can add up to a much smoother, less frustrating process.
So we were talking about building around these wheel wells.
Yeah.
But this is where the trailer design itself has gotten really clever.
Yeah?
They referenced this book from 2012 in the source material called Go House Go.
Yeah.
And apparently back then, everybody was doing like custom-built trailers, which that just seems like a whole other thing to tackle.
Yeah, it's really interesting to see in just the past few years how much the tiny house movement and just that all the stuff around it has evolved.
Yeah.
You can buy trailers now that are specifically built for tiny houses.
Oh, cool.
And they solve a lot of these problems.
Oh, that makes sense.
For example, like remember how we were talking about maximizing headroom?
Oh, yeah. Every inch counts.
So instead of building the floor on top of the trailer frame like they used to, they actually let you set the floor into the frame.
Oh, wow.
So you're literally gaining like 4 or 5 inches there.
That's huge when you're talking about a tiny space.
Huge difference. It's those little things that you don't think about that can make a big difference.
It's like one of those optical illusions where they like add a stripe to something and they're like, now which one looks taller?
Totally.
It's like the same principle but with headspace.
Absolutely.
Speaking of clever design features, what is this belly pan thing? I pictured like a big frying pan underneath the trailer.
I mean, I can see it. So so imagine the bottom of your trailer.
Okay.
Like usually it's just open framing, just like the bones.
Yeah.
A belly pan basically encloses that whole underside with sheet metal. Now, you might think, well, that just makes it look nice. Mm-hmm. But where it really comes in handy is in the building process.
Okay, yeah, because I was like, I don't really care what the bottom looks like if it's, out of sight, out of mind.
But if you're trying to insulate and you're finishing the underside of your tiny home,
yeah,
having that smooth, protected surface to work with is a game changer.
Oh, that makes sense.
It can save a ton of time and just frustration.
So it's like the difference between like coloring inside the lines versus like they already shaded that whole section in for you.
Exactly. It's those things like if you're going to build your own tiny house, you discover these little things.
We're like, I wish I'd known about that. Yeah.
Exactly. And speaking of things that can change the game, let's go to axles for a second. Drop axles.
Okay. I got to visualize this one.
So picture like they basically take an axle and they bend it into like a U shape.
Okay.
So now your trailer sits lower to the ground.
But then you're losing that headspace that we were just talking about.
But here's the beauty. So yes, the trailer sits lower, but now you get more headroom inside without making the overall trailer taller.
Oh, smart. Okay.
So you're kind of digging down to find space instead of building up.
Gotcha. Okay. So you get the headspace. Are there any downsides to having a lower trailer?
I mean, there's a few things to think about.
Okay.
Like steep driveways and speed bumps can become your arch nemesis.
Oh, yeah, I could see that.
You don't want to be scraping the bottom of your beautiful tiny house every time you pull into a parking lot.
Or getting like high centered on something.
Exactly. Or even worse, like getting stuck halfway up your driveway because your trailer can't handle the angle.
Yeah, I'm starting to realize like how many little things there are to consider with this.
And the source mentioned too that typically a drop axle will cost a little bit more.
Oh, really?
Yeah, you're looking at like an extra maybe $250.
Oh, okay. So it's not like breaking the bank, but
something to factor in.
It's something to keep in mind
when you're budgeting out your tiny house dream.
Yeah, for sure. See, this is why I need like an expert to break this down for me, because I'd be out there like, oh, a trailer's a trailer.
Yeah.
Clearly it's more than that. So we've covered drop axles. What other like trailer options are there? Because I've heard like the term gooseneck thrown around.
Yeah, gooseneck.
But I'm picturing like a Dr. Seuss trailer.
Yeah, I can see the resemblance for sure. But gooseneck trailers are all about weight distribution.
Oh.
And a smoother towing experience.
Okay.
So unlike a regular trailer that hitches to your bumper,
right,
the gooseneck hitch actually sits in the bed of your truck.
Oh, okay.
So it's higher up.
So it's a totally different like center of gravity thing.
Totally different, yeah.
Yeah.
So especially for, larger tiny homes that are heavier.
Yeah, it's going to be more stable.
Way more stable. And because it's higher up too, you can actually get some really cool design elements.
Really?
They were talking about how you can actually incorporate that raised gooseneck section into the living space. Imagine having a sleeping loft above the bed of your truck.
Oh, that's cool.
Talk about maximizing space.
That's so cool. So I feel like every challenge with these tiny houses, people have risen to the occasion.
Totally.
To make it work. But so for that gooseneck, you need a specific type of truck, right? It's not just any pickup truck.
Right. It's less common. You have to make sure that the truck you're getting has that gooseneck hitch.
Okay.
It's not as easy as just getting one with a bumper hitch.
So these are all things that you I wouldn't have even thought to consider.
Right.
So you could be like, I love that gooseneck design. And then you're like, but I don't have the right truck.
And then you're back to the drawing board. It all comes down to research.
Yeah.
The more you know, the fewer surprises you're going to have down the road.
Oh.
And believe me, those surprises are not fun when you're ready to, build your dream tiny home.
Right. All right. We've covered a lot of ground, axles, fenders, goosenecks, but just when I thought I had a handle on things, I found out that even what the trailer is made of can be a big deal.
Oh, it's huge.
Really?
Yeah, and we've been talking a lot about weight, right?
Right.
Aluminum trailers are significantly lighter than steel trailers.
Like how much lighter are we talking?
Like 1,000, even 2,000 pounds lighter.
Oh,
It's not insignificant.
that's like hauling around a grand piano less.
Right.
Okay, so now I'm starting to see why this is a big deal. That's less strain on your towing vehicle, potentially better gas mileage, all of that.
And it gives you more wiggle room for what you can actually fit in your house.
Oh, that's a good point, because we're talking about every little ounce, every pound matters.
Absolutely.
So yeah, just the weight alone, that's pretty amazing. What else did they say about aluminum? Because I'm like sold on that already.
It's also incredibly rust resistant.
Oh, that's huge.
Think about it.
Okay, yeah.
Your trailer is constantly exposed to the elements, rain, snow, especially if you're like, by the coast, that salty air.
So you'd constantly be battling rust with the steel.
Right. And aluminum, naturally, it's way more resistant to corrosion. So that means less maintenance for you, less to worry about, and a longer lifespan for your trailer.
So it's kind of like the difference between like having a good pair of boots that can handle, mud and rain and whatever versus something that's going to fall apart after like one rainstorm.
Yeah.
Okay, so aluminum sounds pretty great. There's got to be a catch.
Well, there's always a trade-off, right?
Okay.
Upfront cost.
Oh, okay.
Aluminum's going to cost you a little bit more than a steel trailer.
So how much more are we talking?
So they said an 8x20 aluminum trailer could cost you around $7,000. And a steel trailer, similar size, more like $4,000, $5,000.
Okay, so it's not an insignificant amount of money. It's that classic dilemma where it's like, do you pay now or pay later?
Right, right.
Like spend more up front or, potentially deal with more maintenance down the road?
Yeah, it's really about your priorities and your budget, right?
Yeah.
If you're on a really tight budget, steel might be the way to go.
Sure.
But if you can swing the higher upfront cost, aluminum could save you a lot of headaches in the long run.
Man, I never knew choosing a trailer was so complicated.
Yeah.
Speaking of complicated, can we talk about accessories for a minute? Because I was going through that list and I was like, this is extra. It's like my tiny house isn't enough. I need a ramp for my ATV.
Right. You can get crazy with it.
Yeah, you could. But in all seriousness, some of those accessories are really about safety, right? Like the Source really hammered home brakes, lights, safety chains.
Non-negotiable.
Yeah, that makes sense. We're not talking about like a little teardrop camper here. This is, a structure with your entire home on it. So safety is definitely paramount there. Were there any other accessories you thought were worth considering?
Leveling jacks.
Oh, yeah.
It might seem like a small thing.
Oh.
But once you park your tiny house, being able to just quickly and easily level it, especially if you're going to be, parking on uneven ground at all.
Yeah.
Or if you're going to move somewhat frequently, which a lot of people do.
Right.
Game changer. Makes it so much easier.
It's those little things that really impact like the livability of it.
Totally, totally.
So to wrap up our deep dive into apparently the very complex world of tiny house trailers, what are the key takeaways if our listeners are out there dreaming of their own tiny house adventures? What do they really need to remember?
Don't underestimate the trailer. It's the foundation.
Yeah.
And all those seemingly insignificant details, they can make a world of difference.
It's like choosing the right shoes for a hike. Right?
There you go.
You get the wrong ones, it's going to be a rough, trek.
Do your research, ask a lot of questions, and don't be afraid to really get into the weeds.
Yeah, get those blueprints out.
And the perfect trailer for you is out there.
Absolutely.
You just got to figure out what you need.
And on that note, we'll leave you with this thought. As you're, researching all these specs and details, don't forget about the feeling you want to create, right?
Yeah.
How's that trailer choice going to play into the freedom, the flexibility, the joys of tiny living? That's what drew us all to this in the first place, right?
That's it.
Happy building, everybody, and happy trails.
Happy trails.